Hey guys, it's Bert, and welcome back to episode 3. So, I'm going to go ahead and let you know we had done a ton of work, a ton of recording, and unfortunately, the memory card and the camera decided to kill itself. We're actually have it out at a data recording and recovery studio to see if they can recover any of the footage. But it looks like it's a defective chip and there's something wrong with it, and we weren't able to recover a lot of it. So, what we lost was hooking up everything, doing a lot of the radiator hookups, filling it up, hooking up the battery, and some other not small stuff, me putting in the driver's seat here, and some other stuff. Unfortunately, I'm also going to say the the first start of starting the Exocet started without a problem. I'm really bummed out about that. But I've been told that they should have something to me maybe later today, whatever they're able to recover. So, unfortunately, we can't really plan for things like this. So what we'll do is we will try to piecemeal together what we have. And then after everything is said and done, we're going to go back and we're going to refilm what we can. Obviously, it's put together, so we can't take it apart and put it back together. So we will go over everything again after it's put together and show you guys how we at least did it. I know originally I had said that I was going to film how we did it the first time. It seems like the way we did it the first time was the correct way, so we filmed it anyway. And we had about 6 hours of footage, and I've been told that there is a defective chip, and we'll recover as much of it as we can. So be patient. I was going to upload something on Thursday. It's now Sunday. And obviously not having any usable footage is a problem. So I'm kind of bummed out. But what we did is I spent about 3 hours going over the wiring harness. I double checked everything because this did have an immobilizer in it originally from back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And whoever had it before me, they had unhooked all of it. So it wasn't a problem. It's still all in the harness. And I spoke with Kevin Patrick, the man who designed the Exocet. He said, best choice for you with your harness, and this is what he tells everybody, is get it running for your first year, iron out all the kinks, wait until the next winter, and then cannibalize the harness so you have a whole winter when it's cold out, if you live in a cold part of the country where it gets cold, like here in PA, and then cannibalize your harness and go about doing that so it gives you a whole year to really run through all your possible problems. Biggest hurdle for me is probably about 40% of the harness we no longer need. A lot of the stuff for the radio, airbags, interior lights, power windows, speakers, all that kind of crap. We don't need it obviously anymore. And I don't want to cannibalize the harness. There's probably 2 miles, if not more, of wire in this harness, and I'm not ambitious, or should I say crazy enough right now to go about doing that. A couple things are changing here at the channel. As you know, I'm currently job hunting, so that's fun. Got a lot of very good offers coming in, so I'm very excited about that. I'm trying to take this time that I have right now while I'm job hunting to finish as much of this as possible. The plan for this is next week I'm going to take it in. I'm going to get a proper alignment. That way so the wheels are riding correctly and wearing correctly. I will tell you, I did take it out. It was running for about 4 hours yesterday, which we also lost in that video footage. And the exhaust header is really right here at my knee, so it's extremely loud. And at about 3,000 RPMs, it gets so loud you just can't think. But it is ungodly fast, and I'm realizing that this is going to have very similar to the aspect of Formula One. If you're not going fast enough, you don't have enough downforce to keep you on the road to make turns, and it just kind of gets really squirrely. Even with 9-inch wheels, which these tires are pretty much the standard. They're BF Goodrich Rival 1.5S, I think is what the model is. This is probably what 80% of the smart people use on their tires because they're good off for the regular road, and then they're great for the track. And I mean, this thing is just ass happy. You can hear the Torsen limited slip differential kick in and all the worm gears doing stuff, and it sounds so cool. But it drives amazing. It's very raw, very rough. I still have to sort out a couple of the problems with the clutch and the brake. They're just not quite as sensitive as I want them to be. They're a bit spongy. And I've been trying to get all the air out of the lines, and I think I finally sorted it out yesterday. So that was a big mess. I've gone through like 4 bottles of brake fluid, but it is what it is. What I'm going to do from now on is I'm not going to take it out again until I get the panels and all of the aluminum plates in. Because one thing I noticed when I was driving it is there's still a decent bit of cinders on the road. And I'm getting pelted with rocks left and right and getting hit in the face. And like literally the entire bay floor, like it's just full of rocks. It's just full of rocks. And that kind of sucks because then you got to clean it. I got to worry about it scratching up my powder coating. But I really wanted to make sure that this thing ran and worked well. So yeah, it's kind of a kick in the nose to lose all that footage and everything, but I promise I will do right by you guys. And I don't mind doing it again because I probably did a half-assed job the first time. So we'll wait and see. Big things were no forced induction, no turbo, no supercharger this year. Main reason, and I became very aware of this when I first drove it, is this is extremely quick. For as small as it is very, very quick. I would say it's comparable to my old CBR 600, except it's a little bit more planted, but it's quick. I'm surprised what losing 800 to 900 pounds of fat has done to this thing, and it's frankly it's a little terrifying. I'm not used to this, so we're gonna take our first year. We're gonna get used to it. We're gonna drive it. We're gonna race it. All that fun stuff. We're gonna have a great fun time, and I hope you guys will all join us for that. But right now, obviously, I want to finish it. I'm trying to not go too much more over budget. We're already like 3 times the budget I originally set for this thing. But I wanted to do it correctly the first time, not half-ass it. So, big thing I can tell you guys, when this is just off the top of my head, make sure you check in all your grounds are mounted to the chassis whenever you hook up everything for the wiring harness, because I missed a ground and nothing worked for like 2 days. And then I started pulling apart things and found the ground that I missed, hooked it up, and boom, everything fired right up. I have 17 engine codes because there's no O2 sensors. It's not reading any of the fans or any of that kind of crap, but I'm not really worried about that. And yeah, it runs. I mean, it starts right up. I can just... No, I don't have the battery plugged in, but everything lights up. Coolant is good. Oil pressure is good. One thing I'll tell you guys is when we fired it up, we were very cautious at first starting it. With the engine, because it hadn't run for about 8 months, what we did is John and Doug had both suggested pull the plugs and crank the engine and just let it pump oil. That way, so all the parts are lubricated and there's not parts of the engine that are having a lot of force put on them without being properly lubricated. And that was a very valid point. So I did that for probably 7 or 8 times for about 10 seconds a piece, and looked at the valve cover, pulled it, scoped it with a camera. There was plenty of oil pumping through, so everything was lubricated. But one thing that we'd noticed is whenever we had sprayed the top of the engine, some of the cleaner had gotten down into where the spark plugs were, and it looks like some of that may have seeped into the engine because there was a decent bit of corrosion in the engine. So what I did is I got an eyedropper and I put a full drop of, full vial of seafoam into the cylinders. And what I did is I took an air hose and I blasted it, let it aerosolize, and I covered up. I just put the spark plug covers over top. I let it sit overnight, came back down the next morning, scoped it again. All that corrosion had kind of like scrunched up and kind of pitted off. And what we did is we hooked up a flex piece of exhaust to the header here at the back, fired it up. It was like a diesel, horrible black smoke. I mean, I probably killed 1,000 polar bears. I feel absolutely awful, but the black smoke that came out of this thing was horrendous, and then it was a little bit white, and then it was clear. Pull out the cylinder, or pull out the spark plugs, look in the cylinders, spotless. Beautiful. So clearly that worked. Be very careful when firing up your engine if it's been sitting for a while. So anyway, guys, that's really what the overall situation is. We're trying to get everything put back together here. I actually have gotten some of the footage back from the data recovery studio that we sent the chip off to. It's not a lot, but it's some of it, so we will piecemeal it in. Ultimately, what we're going to do is I'm going to go back over hooking up the rear axle, doing the fuel lines, doing the electrical for the main part of the engine harness that goes down to the back of the axle, hooking up the the battery, doing the brake lines, installing the gauge cluster, the pedal box, brake booster, clutch, master cylinder, hooking all that stuff up, installing the radiator, obviously filling up the radiator, the first start, which I am very pleased to say that some of the data, that actually is one of the files. I think it was the second file I got back from them, which I am super, super excited for. So I'm actually going to throw that in at the very end video here, just as kind of a reprieve for everything, so you guys can see how it started. I am very, very happy with the project. Now, that being said, we are on a bit of a crunch time right now as well. We have until the 12th of May to get this thing running and ready for the first rally show, or not rally, the first autocross. So we've got a lot of work to do. Really, all it needs to do is have all the safety harnesses, it needs to have an exhaust, it needs to run properly, and it needs to be safe to drive. That's really all we need. So I've still got a decent bit of work to do, and we're going to make sure we go over everything in extremely great detail, which I said we were going to do at the end of Season 1. I will, do as much as I can for editing here. Obviously, it takes a lot of time, and it's not a super, technical process. It's just something I'm not that great at, and it takes a while for me to do. But we will be sure to update you guys as things go along here, and we will make sure that we give you guys all the answers you need for building your Exocet. If you have any questions for me as far as building an Exocet, or you have questions as to what you're doing right now and you need help, feel free to reach out to me. If not, call Kevin Patrick at Exomotive. He's extremely knowledgeable, very friendly. He always answers the phone, or he'll get back to you, and he can answer any questions you might have. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and continue editing this video and get this uploaded to you guys. So without further ado, guys, I am Bert from Pixel Armory. Like, favorite, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright. Should be good. That was odd. I'm going to put the cap back on that just so that it doesn't explode everywhere. Possibly. Alright. Oh, please work. That's all the WD-40 and crap burning off of the header. That's normal. I'll let that take over for a little bit. But she starts! That's awesome! I'm so happy. Oh my god.
Well, I'm gonna go have a beer.
And I want to do a huge shout out to Patrick O'Connor, Nico Dashe, Evan Lansinski, and Jack Allen for being our awesome Patreon subscribers. Thank you so much for your donations, guys. It really does mean a lot to us here at the channel that everyone can support us and that you guys are behind us. Thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts here at Pixel Armory. And as always, I am Bert. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys real soon.